just passed through the town of Algoma, and there's a high school there that had a sign on. You know how every high school has a sort of a billboard, upcoming events, etc. Well, that sign said, "We pause to reflect on the 215 children found in Kamloops, BC." But they need to update that sign because we're up to 2,000 children found at former Indian residential schools. We should start looking at some of the churches. See, if I killed someone and I buried their body and you found the body, you'd want to have me arrested. You'd want to interview me about the body that you found. You might want to do that. Probably not what's going to happen, though. Town of Algoma, it doesn't sound particularly English or Scottish. It might be Scottish. These farms look pretty poor. Arbor. What is that? Is that French? French, Scottish, German. Them horses look neglected. I don't know, my tongue isn't working. I think it's because I had a Slurpee, a slush puppy. Oh, look at his corn. Pushing into August. That corn's only about 4 feet tall, 4.5. In my last video you saw thick, lush, 6.5 feet tall corn. We're driving through Canada and looking at the different economic health and well-being of different communities based on their ethnicity. We've driven through Ukrainian communities. Maybe this is Scottish, Irish. Bruce, the Bruce. What's that guy's name again? You've got a Netflix movie. Fuck, I can't remember. Elliott Lake and McCarroll. This must be a blended community of German, Scottish, maybe Irish. We know from the history books that the British elites gave themselves the best land for agriculture, the best head start for business and enterprise back in 1870, 1920. Everybody else got second best. Scottish got second best. The French third, maybe. You can read the vertical mosaic to get a background on that. Most of these people, they don't even know. They have no clue about the privilege that they were born into. Maybe the old people know. The older ones, they might have a clue. The real old ones. But that steeple right there, that's got to be Anglican. It's a United Church. It's a very religious neighborhood here. But back in those days, religion and politics went hand in hand. In fact, the old wars, but before the wars happened between empires and kings, the wars were religious wars. Those were the old wars. So those wars haven't ended. We're still living them today. Catholics versus Anglicans and Protestants. Anyways, that's the stuff I think about when I drive through all of this. racism, the white race gets to just live at peace with each other. They don't have to remember all of the old wars and the old hatreds. Under the white race, you're supreme to every other race there is. So you're oblivious to your own prejudices and discriminations that you've set up for yourselves here in Canada. You're oblivious to it. You don't know that because you're Polish or Czechoslovakian or Italian, you didn't get what you deserved because of your ethnicity. The British gave themselves the best. And yet you're still unaware of the ethnic relations between your ethnicity and the ethnicity that is actively suppressing and oppressing you. Demographics you can follow. You can compare the economic disparities of ethnic relations in Canada by comparing communities, economic growth and power and influence in politics. You can compare health demographics. You know, how healthy are Irish people compared to Scottish, and how healthy compared to English. If there really is a vertical mosaic, then we could hypothesize that Irish people are more sickly and more likely and more prone to worse health conditions than English. You know, just by having a name like Brownlee. We just saw that sign there, Brownlee. It sounds nice in English. And if there is a vertical mosaic, then probably probably the people that are running the hospitals and the healthcare systems are English people. And the system would have been set up to favor English people. So if you come in there with a French-sounding name like Lego, maybe you have maybe Mr. or Mrs. Lego. They have a name. They have the same issue as Mr. or Mrs. Brownlee, but Mr. and Mrs. Brownlee might get better attention than Miss Lego. Now, Miss Lego knows that, or Mrs. Lego or Mr. Lego, they know they're being discriminated, but they're so used to it that they kind of are only subconsciously aware of it. Now they go out into the world and they do what's called kicking the dog. It's this thing where pet owners are accused of only owning pets so that they can come home and kick the dog. But in this case, the dog is Aboriginal people, so they just pay it forward by being mean to Aboriginal people. I'm not saying Aboriginal people are dogs, but if you're a racist, you might think that they are, and you'll treat them like that. So that's pretty much how it works here in Canada. There's more complex mechanisms that are at work. There's all kinds of belief systems that are working in there. There's different systems, biases, implicit biases, self-esteem, self-confidence, all of those different mechanisms that motivate you to do things and motivate you to move toward things and to move away from things. You tell yourselves all kinds of bullshit to be able to cope with life. You know where you really see it? You see it in the offices, in major corporations, in educational institutions, in healthcare systems. You're going to see the politics of it in your career as a nurse, as a doctor, as a lawyer, and you're going to get kicked. You're going to get kicked. And then you're going to kick someone, and you know it. You know what's happening. You know you're doing it. You know who's the boss. You can't get rid of the boss. The boss is firmly established and in place. You'd like to move up, but you only move laterally. There is no moving up for you. You're going as far as you can go, unless you're some sort of highly conniving, manipulative, narcissistic psychopath that will do and say anything to get ahead. You know, when you're a teacher in school, you know who the boss is. You know what cliques are popular as a teacher. You know who's the most hippest with the latest trends in education and teaching. Who's paying it? You know who's fucking who in the education system. And you know who's fucking who in the healthcare system, in the political system. They're all fucking each other because that's just the way it is. Someone once told me that life is a competition and everything comes down to a competition and you have to be the best to win. Well, I disagree. It doesn't have to be like that. But they believe that that's how it is now. And it's never going to go anywhere. And if you want to survive and if you want to win, then you got to be competitive, and you got to have that competitive edge. You got to be the best. Well, if being the best means getting fucked and fucking your way to the top, and I'm talking about the guys too, because I made it to the top. I know what it's like. You're gonna sell yourself. That's right. I made it underneath the vice president of a university college. I was chosen, but I wasn't ready for that politics, for the dirty, underhanded. Holy jeez. Can you find a better place to jog, man? I can fucking jog here if I want to. Better fucking move for the joggers. So you gotta play the game when you're up there. I know you're doing it. Probably not even watching this video, you're so high up. It's all the common folk that are watching this video. But if you want to make it to the top, you got to compromise with that competitive edge that they're talking about. You got to do and say whatever you can to get up there. Climb fast. You gotta have a tight ass. You gotta carry yourself with so much sexuality. People go crazy when you walk in the room. They can't even think anymore. They just want to fuck you so bad. That's what it's like. Not very human. I don't know if this video will get taken down for all the profanity, but just being honest, you know, that's the competitive edge that they're talking about. You got to be willing to sacrifice. You got to make those sacrifices, and then come home. Sit at the dinner table with your wife and family and smile like nothing even happened.